Pop quiz. Who has a lower carbon intensity score, electricity or propane? The answer? Propane. But you sure aren't hearing that in the media, are you? The push to electrify everything is a campaign full of half-truths, and I'm here to set the record straight as it relates to propane. Let's circle back to carbon intensity. If you don't already know, carbon intensity measures how much carbon dioxide is produced for each unit of energy. The lower the number, the closer you are to carbon neutral, which is a good thing. Propane has a carbon intensity of 79, while the US electricity grid average can be from 100 to 140. But if electricity is greener, then how can that be? Here's where these half-truths enter. Did you know that only about 22% of the US electricity is generated from wind, solar, and hydro, the green energy sources? The rest? That's made up of natural gas, coal, and nuclear. In fact, almost 20% is made up of coal, and almost 20% is made up of nuclear. So we've got a little bit of green sources getting paired up with a whole lot of non-renewable sources to produce clean electricity? Don't believe me? To see how this plays out for the Midwest, search MISO Energy. Here's the cool part though. Propane can be part of the solution to this problem. Propane is cleaner, it's domestic, and it's available today, now. Let's talk about the pros of propane. Propane is 100% North American made, and it's a byproduct of natural gas processing and refining. The US is the largest exporter of propane. In 2024, we averaged 1.8 million barrels per day. And in 2025, we're averaging 2.1 million barrels per day. Propane is not in short supply. We have an abundance and we're happy to share. That is not something that can be said about US electricity. When you use propane in your home and business, you're buying energy that is made right here on our soil, not importing from overseas. And you're supporting domestic jobs. Now that is something you can feel good about. From an environmental standpoint, propane is clean. Nationally, propane produces about 25% less carbon than the average kilowatt of electricity. 25%! And its emissions are steady. It's the same no matter where you live. Unlike electricity's, whose emissions can swing wildly depending on its makeup. Another pro, renewable propane has already been developed and it's on the market today. Renewable propane is made from plant oils and waste fats and has a carbon intensity of 50 to 80% less than conventional propane's already low score. So while they're desperately working to clean up electricity, propane already has its own renewable path forward. I'd kick myself if we didn't spend some time talking about delivery loss as it relates to propane and electricity. When I say delivery loss, I mean what happens to that energy as it moves from its origin point to its final destination. Propane starts at 100% once it's processed out of natural gas. Virtually nothing is lost as it moves from storage to delivery truck to your propane tank. So when 400 gallons of propane are produced, 400 gallons of propane are delivered. And then your propane goes through your appliances, which generally run about 90 to 95% efficient. From start to finish, propane sees about a 12% energy loss during its full cycle. Electricity, on the other hand, loses about 68% of its energy by the time it reaches your outlets. 68%! As I mentioned earlier, a lot of electricity is generated through fossil fuel power plants, even though they really want you to believe it's largely made from wind and solar. At those fossil fuel power plants, only about 33% of the energy created actually gets turned into electricity. That means 2/3 of the original energy is gone before it even leaves the plant. And then as the electricity travels through the power lines and transformers, it loses a little more. In the end, 1/3 of that original energy makes it to your home or your business as usable electricity. Not only do we see huge amounts of delivery loss with electricity, but there are serious concerns about its reliability, as I'm sure you're already aware of. There is a federally authorized organization called the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, NERC. And its job is to monitor and reduce risks to the electric grid in US, Canada, and northern Mexico. In NERC's Winter Reliability Assessment, they say they are expecting energy shortfalls in the Northeast during extreme cold events. They already know we don't have enough electricity on the grid for this winter. These shortfalls are being caused by rapid growth in demand, early retirement of coal and gas plants, and just an overall slow transmission expansion. This is scary stuff. Brownouts and blackouts are coming, and they know it. And worse yet, some state governments are working on mandates for buildings to be all electric, even though we know there isn't enough to go around. New York is trying to ban propane and natural gas appliances in new construction. Energy policy is starting to shift. And as we learned earlier, propane is cleaner than electricity, so what exactly are we trying to accomplish here? While the electric grid strains and struggles and will affect millions when it fails, that propane in your tank on your property will remain independent and untouched by outside sources. Propane is cleaner than you're being told. It's made domestically, and it's ready when that grid of ours isn't. Propane is energy you can count on. This is BrightFlame Creative, where propane's story comes to life.